So today, we're going to dive into the relationship between two of the world's truly ancient civilizations, India and Greece. And what's so fascinating is how this connection feels both incredibly old and, as you're about to see, super relevant right now.
So, why are we talking about this now? Well, late in 2023, and then again at the start of 2024, the prime ministers of India and Greece got together and announced a new strategic partnership. And listen, this wasn't just your standard diplomatic photo op. This was a serious upgrade, signaling a whole new era of cooperation.
Which, it really makes you wonder, is this a brand new friendship, something born out of our modern world's challenges? Or are we just watching the latest chapter in a conversation that's been going on for 2,500 years? To really get to the bottom of that, we have to rewind the clock. I mean, way back. We're talking about the very beginning of their recorded history together, a time of vast empires, brilliant philosophers, and absolutely epic journeys. The whole story of these two cultures really meeting in a big way kicks off in 326 BC with Alexander the Great. His armies marched all the way to the edge of the Indian subcontinent. But here's the thing. This was so much more than just a military campaign. It was a massive cultural collision that basically opened up a new highway between two different worlds. And what's so incredible to me is how fast the Greeks just became a part of the Indian worldview. Ancient Indian texts didn't see them as some bizarre aliens. They actually had a specific name for them, the Yavanas. They were right there as diplomats, traders, and soldiers woven right into the fabric of the subcontinent's life. This mix led to one of the coolest cultural mashups in all of history, Greco-Buddhism. In the kingdoms that popped up after Alexander, you had Greek artistic styles, super realistic sculptures, flowing robes, being used to create images of the Buddha and other Buddhist figures. It was this perfect blend of Eastern spirit and Western form. And this right here, this is the perfect example of how deep that fusion went. This is the Indo-Greek king Menander I. He didn't just rule, he became a huge supporter of Buddhism. He had these long philosophical chats with a Buddhist sage, and they were actually written down in this famous text, the Milinda Panha. I mean, think about that. A Greek king immortalized forever in Buddhist scripture. It's amazing. But it wasn't just about art, not by a long shot. The ideas themselves were mingling. You had the Greek philosopher Pyrrho, who traveled with Alexander's army, developing a philosophy back home that had these incredible similarities to Buddhist thought. And this was a two-way street for sure. Knowledge about astronomy, philosophy, even storytelling, it all flowed back and forth. Okay, so now we're gonna jump forward. A lot, like 2,000 years forward, to a chapter of this story that honestly is almost completely forgotten. This is a time when the fight for Greek independence from the Ottoman Empire found a really powerful and frankly unexpected group of supporters thousands of miles away in India. Just look at this timeline. It's pretty wild. In 1802, that's nearly 20 years before the Greek Revolution even kicked off, the Greek merchant community in Calcutta actually took a formal oath to start saving money for their homeland's future freedom. So when the war finally started in 1821, they were ready. They set up a committee, raised funds, and this passion for freedom totally resonated with Indian intellectuals, like the poet Henry Derozio, who saw a direct parallel to their own hopes. And right at the heart of this intellectual connection was a man named Demetrios Galanos. He was a scholar from Athens who spent more than 40 years of his life in India. He mastered Sanskrit and dedicated himself to translating these foundational Indian texts into Greek. He wasn't just a translator. The man was a human bridge connecting the wisdom of these two great civilizations. And then you've got guys like Nikolaos Kephalis. He was the action guy, the messenger. He was sent to India in 1823 with a clear mission, raise money for the revolution, and just as importantly, carry these precious manuscripts back and forth to keep the intellectual and financial supply lines open. So here's the key thing to understand. This Philhellenism, this love for Greece that was happening in India was totally different from the movement in the West. As you can see here, for Westerners like Lord Byron, it was often about neoclassicism, a kind of romantic idea about ancient glory. But for the Indians and the Greek diaspora in Calcutta, man, it was personal. It was fueled by a shared feeling of being ruled by a foreign power. They saw the Greeks as brothers in a fight against tyranny, a fight that felt very, very familiar. So with all this incredible history, this deep, shared past, how does it all connect back to today?
Well, this is where we come full circle, right back to those handshakes and strategic agreements of the 21st century.
This quote from the historian Vasileios Syros just hits the nail on the head. He says they're not rediscovering each other. They're just continuing a conversation that has never really stopped. And that's exactly it. The conversation just changed its topic from philosophy to shared struggle and now to modern strategy. And this new chapter, it has come together at lightning speed. In August 2023, you had an Indian prime minister visiting Athens for the first time in 40 years. Just a few months after that, the Greek prime minister was in India. These back-to-back visits made it official, upgrading their relationship to a full-blown strategic partnership. So, what does that strategic partnership actually look like? Well, it's built on these really solid pillars. On the security front, their militaries are doing joint exercises. Economically, Greece is becoming India's key gateway into Europe. And on the cultural side, they're making it easier for students and skilled workers to move between both countries, building new human bridges. And they're not thinking small either. The goal is right there, to double the trade between them by the year 2030. That's not just talk, that's a serious economic target that shows just how committed they are to this new partnership. Which leaves us with this final massive question. In a world where everything feels like it's shifting, what does it mean when two of humanity's oldest democracies decide to build a new strategic bond? How will this ancient conversation, now speaking this modern language of security and economics, help shape the future of the huge landmass that connects them? It's a dialogue that's still unfolding and definitely one to watch.